ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene.
Good morning, this is Grace.
And of course, you are listening to us at Durian ASEAN on our ASEAN Daily, where we provide you more news from Southeast Asia. But before that, Oscar fever is on.
Alright, I thought we were just gonna talk about the Chinese New Year first, but then, yes, I think, Oscar is on and it's gonna be tonight at 11 p.m. In Malaysian time.
Well, actually, it's happening right now in the international time.
Okay.
It's interesting because Oscar is really something that the whole world is looking forward to, and you can actually get more information about it at oscar.go.com.
And then this is the 87th Academy Awards, and this year is hosted by Neil Patrick Harris, and it takes place at Hollywood's 3,000-seat Dolby Theatre. Mm-hmm. So a lot of awards will be going on, and also you can also follow on the coverage of awards online or streaming or on your TV as well.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, all the best for all the nominees for the Oscar Awards. Who are you rooting for, Grace?
I have not been following, but then I think I'll be watching not the stream one, but then perhaps the revision on online later.
Mm-hmm. I'm rooting for the guy who is the lead actor for The Theory of Everything, because I'm always all for science.
But then currently the major or the famous ones are mainly the Birdman and also the Boyhood, which actually won a few awards before. So this will be one of the expected awards that we can expect from this Oscar.
Mm-hmm. In fact, you are right about the Birdman and Boyhood, and together with that, they are American Sniper, The Grand Budapest Hotel, The Imitation Game, Selma, of course, the Theory of Everything, and Wimless. Is that how you pronounce it? Wimless?
Yeah.
These are really great movies, so yeah, all the best. And next on, of course, Chinese New Year is over, but did you celebrate Chinese New Year well?
Well, I did celebrate Chinese New Year with friends, but then at the same time it was pretty relaxing, especially KL was so empty. So it was so empty up till it got me really scared.
Even this morning is quite...
it's pretty
it's
relaxing and empty at the same time.
But at the same time, a lot of people might not be aware, but today is the national holiday for Brunei.
Yes.
They are still celebrating holiday, and it's not because of Chinese New Year, it's because their country were formerly part of UK, and now and they are just celebrating the day where they gained independence from the United Kingdom.
And then out of all those nations, one particular nation actually did celebrate and then send a congratulations.
Is that Malaysia? Would that be Malaysia?
Oh, it's really unexpected. Yeah, but then in the message to Brunei's National Day,
it's not Malaysia.
Yeah, it's not from Malaysia, sadly, but it was from Iran.
Oh, that's interesting. And I thought Brunei is against the Shia.
Yeah, but apparently, I don't know, it could be the tension or it could be a political agenda behind, we never know. But then he is actually the one who sent the congratulations message to Brunei.
Mm-hmm. In fact, President Hassan Rouhani, Iran's president, he congratulated the government of Brunei on the occasion of their national holiday for Brunei's King Hassan al-Bolkiah. I'm really surprised the only country that actually congratulated Brunei, or maybe one of the first country who congratulated Brunei, is Iran.
Yes,
it's amazing.
In fact, that Southeast Asia nations will need to be aware of each national day and then be able to send a message to congratulate each Independence Day, also national days as well.
And another thing, go back to Malaysia. So in Kota Kinabalu, parents are urged to monitor children's activity to defend against ISIS attack or threats. It's kind of getting from bad to worse regarding on the threats of ISIS in Southeast Asia. In the beginning, it was always, it was contained in the Middle East, but now it seems like all over Southeast Asia, the danger is becoming more and more real. More and more news about young people going overseas. There's one news about a 14-year-old kid actually went to the airport to Syria in her fight for Syria, for ISIS in particular.
And in fact, some of them are actually engaged to one of the militant groups in ISIS, and then they are all connected via online. And then children are nowadays they are heavily used all those internet.
There's one
social
news
network.
about a blogger, a Malaysian blogger that is engaged by one of the member of ISIS, and she seemed to be happy with her life there, which is quite terrifying.
It
think
is
about
terrifying because after all, their mindsets are all set for ISIS. And then they are trained and be able to influence via online. It's very scary news.
So parents need to monitor, according to Deputy Defense Minister Dato Abdul Rahman Bakri, because he mentioned that a lot of young people are easily influenced by activities of ISIS, and he said that if they are found to be involved in ISIS, legal action will be taken. But the thing is, a lot of Malaysians are still very much in the dark about the activities of ISIS and about what religion teaching is all about. They are easily being seduced by, how they are fighting for the cause of religion, or for if they die, they will die as a martyr. But would that be the case in reality?
We never know because they may approach in a different manner, not only the religious manner, but then the core thoughts of all this behind this ISIS group is about the religion. They want to make this Muslim as the first religion in the world. That's why all those Muslim communities are targeted, and all those communities and people are suffering from all this misinterpreted message from ISIS. But there are also, on the other hand, a lot of people are influenced by this group, especially not only in Southeast Asia now, it also spread to European countries as well.
I think the whole world are actually under threats of ISIS, and the biggest problem is majority of them are younger, the young ones, and for me personally, I'm not sure what is the best way to address this, but the government needs to do a counter PSA, public service announcement, either via TV, internet or whatever, to spread the message and the danger of ISIS.
And in Malaysia particularly, I've actually never encountered a special announcement from the government to be aware of ISIS group and so on. It was just from the news, just publicly.
That's a huge
announced.
problem, right?
Yeah.
Because the government is keeping quiet about it and only say it in a very discreet manner, which is actually not good. So anyway, the next news is from Manila. It's about fighting, it's about battle, but it's nothing to do with ISIS. It's about a Filipino boxing icon, Manny Pacquiao, will meet unbeatable American Floyd Mayweather in Las Vegas on May 2.
And this is quite the big news in Filipino, and also those who have been following this boxing news. And these two are pretty prominent figures in the boxing industry. And then this unbeaten American Mayweather made a long-awaited announcement last week via social media, and that brought quite a viral news among this population itself. So what the world has been waiting for has arrived, according to the Mayweather, and then he will be fighting against, like you said, Pacquiao on May 2nd.
A lot of people might not know, but Manny Pacquiao is actually quite popular in the US.
And also in Philippines.
Yeah, in the Philippines. Of course, boxing is not really the sport that is popular among Southeast Asia, maybe among the Indochina area because they are popular. One of their most popular sports is actually Muay Thai. So I bet that boxing is very popular there. But in the southern part of Southeast Asia, might not be as popular anyway. So, I mean, all the best for our friends in the Philippines. Hopefully that he can show that Southeast Asian have a lot of beef in fighting boxing.
And also be able to carry on the legend of boxing itself, the name. And the boxing itself has a very healthy spirit when it comes to sports area, and not only just the fighting between these two partners, but be able to learn how to be able to respect each other via this sport. So this is something that we can actually watch and follow from now on, those who have not watched. But then also to study about these prominent figures, these two people, Mayweather and also Pacquiao, it will be also good study for those who are interested in boxing.
Yes, true. So we will take one short break. When we return, we will discuss more on news from Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene.
Hi, this is Grace.
And of course, you are back again with us at Durian ASEAN. So, just to update about the Prime Minister of Singapore, not really the Prime Minister, but the first Prime Minister, or the former Prime Minister of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, or Minister Mentor, he holds a lot of position. Unfortunately, he's hospitalized with how do you pronounce this actually? Pneumonia.
Yeah.
So with the silent P, pneumonia. So he is quite in a critical condition, although not much actually light about his condition right now, other than he's now in medical ventilation in the ICU, intensive care. And although he's conscious, but he's also lightly sedated. So that's why he's being seen.
Also because of his age, he just turned 91 last September, and then because of also his aging, it will be quite difficult, harder to recover from his condition. However, his condition has stabilized. It's more stable than before, but he still remains in the ICU at the moment.
So nothing much has been reported about him actually. If you look at the year 2014, the last time he actually appeared in public was quite some time ago, and that was probably early 2014. So hearing that he's in a critical condition means that he's very much in a very old age, enjoying his life on an old age life. Hopefully he will recover soon, and whatever it is, just to give a bit of history learning of what he has done for Singapore. Singapore wouldn't be an industrialized modern state without him being one of the mastermind.
And also, many people do know about him being being a good leader to lead Singapore to the one of the world's best and also wealthiest nation while he was in his position. And a lot of people need to perhaps remember what he has done to Singapore itself. But then, just to follow up the news, the current PM was also diagnosed with the cancer, but then the surgery was successful. So he was just,
when was that?
That was just last week, Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. And then he had a prostate cancer, but he was discharged successfully. So we are just wishing him for the full recovery.
That was his son, Lee Hsien Loong.
Yeah.
This is his father, Lee Kuan Yew. Yeah. So anyway, Lee Kuan Yew has done remarkable in terms of transforming Singapore's economy, but he's also plied with a lot of human rights violation, and right now a lot of Singaporeans are not happy because of the socio-economic condition there, high inequality, low wages and all that. So hopefully things will stabilize in this one of the richest nation in Southeast Asia. So the next one, just an update about what is happening between Australia and Indonesia. Of course, we all know the infamous Bali 9. They are drug traffickers and they are about to be prosecuted under death penalty. But there's also global pressure to Indonesia and is intensifying because majority of them are unfortunately foreigners, not Indonesians.
And in fact, the tension between Australia and Indonesia has been going on for some time since Joko Widodo did announce about the so-called punishment to all those traffickers. However, as much as Australia, the government itself has been trying to convince the Indonesian president to at least lower down the punishment or have them in the approach in a different manner, but it looks like it's not going to happen that way. Because he himself, when it comes to giving the punishment to all those drug dealers, it's pretty strict, and he's very well known for giving all the strict approach after all.
Yes. He actually, the funny thing about Joko Widodo is when he was still the Jakarta's governor, he actually made a vow to end death penalty. But now he's actually changing his view on death penalty. And another thing that is interesting also about Joko Widodo is he's very much putting his foot firm on what he sees with death penalty, and he's convinced that Indonesia needs to maintain. And I understand why he mentioned it like that, because drug smuggling is one of the major problem in terms of crimes in Indonesia. But at the same time, is it something, I mean, he needs to question himself, is it something that it would reduce drugs trafficking? Because what we are seeing now is it's only creating fear, and it's only going to worsen the diplomatic ties between Indonesia and Australia and other countries who are strategic partners economically to Indonesia.
That's a very good point. And also when it comes to human rights, like it or not, a lot of people will actually raise and also voice very strong opposition to this planned execution itself. And then of course, the Indonesian president will consider or would have already considered when it comes to human rights. However, to warn all those nations and also people in Indonesia, perhaps this would be the one of his best decision that he has to make.
So, for example, Myuran Sukamaran and Andrew Chan, they are one of the Bali 9 drug smugglers, and the king of them, of these two drug smugglers, actually made a statement to the media after visiting the pair in Korobakan prison in Bali. And what they said is, we see and hear many prisoners doing courses go on to jobs and better lives. Our brother's great wish for the president is to allow them to continue this help to rebuild the lives of many more Indonesians for more years to come. So what they are suggesting here, which is great, I think, is instead of, killing them, is to actually put them in rehabilitation program, which would have the same kind of results or outcome that Joko Widodo want, which is to reduce drug smuggling.
Well, that's also one of the ways. However, having the capital punishment, it's also another way to stop immediately, and also because having them in the rehabilitation and the other approaches will have also a lot of give lot of different ideas to the public. For all those drug dealers coming over to Indonesia or going outside of Indonesia illegally, will have them a different mindset. But then having capital punishment will give them a bit of a strict warning to their minds.
According to Joko Widodo, he called this as drug emergency, meaning that you need to do it because it has to be done. That's it. There's no other way around. On the other hand, countries besides Australia, other countries have been vocal about, the Bali 9 issue. For example, the family of Nigeria has been trying out loud to protest against the Indonesia embassy in Lagos. I don't know why I pronounced things wrongly this morning. And another one is the French government also have been summoning Indonesia's ambassador in Paris to express their concern over the fate of their citizen Sergei Atlaoui, which is a French national convicted of operating an ecstasy factory. I mean, the problem is really real. I totally understand the perspective of the Indonesian government, but at the same time, I think the best point is to come up with a workable solution, not a solution that will only undermine your presidency credibility.
So from this tension actually started between Australia and Indonesia, it's spreading over globally, and then it gives a lot of people's concern, and also it is actually a worrisome fact. However, a lot of people are questioning whether this capital punishment is necessary in this incident.
So anyway, we hope that Indonesia's president can somehow rethink its decision. I mean, to find the best solution where it's a win-win situation, where you can actually create more peaceful coexistence between your neighboring countries as well as, other trade partners outside of Southeast Asia. Anyway, we will take another short break. When we return, we will discuss more on Southeast Asian news.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I am from MACI, the Malaysian American Commission on Educational Exchange. My message to you listeners is a quote from the American librarian John Cotton Dana: "Those who dare to teach must never cease to learn." As an ETA in the classroom, I was constantly seeking to learn new things, and I encourage you to keep your eye to curiosity as well. Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hi, this is Arlene.
Hello, this is Grace.
And of course, we are back again with more news from Myanmar this time, which is a news about a Myanmar convoy being attacked. It's actually a second attack. This was spoken by volunteers from Red Cross, and a lot of volunteers were being wounded because of the second attack.
And also there were 5 people that were wounded in an attack in the car nearby the Chinese border. And this Myanmar president declared a state of emergency.
Tanzania.
Yeah. And also emergency, and also imposed the martial law this month in the region. After more than 70 people were killed. Like you mentioned, Ali, this is the second attack, and then that's why the president actually wanted to emphasize on this emergency in the nation itself.
And the problem is the region has been witnessing a lot of fighting and killing. In fact, 70 people were killed during the fighting between the army and the Myanmar National Democratic Alliance Army. And this is a conflict that is set back for Myanmar's semi-civilian government, which took power in 2011 after 49 years of military rule, is seeking to end hostile with many groups that have taken up arms since independence. They have been successful with other groups, but for this particular area in Kokang region, seems like the fighting is ongoing, and a lot of the victims are unfortunately volunteers from NGOs, international NGOs.
And they really need to think about their members' safety. Now, now that the situation is quite dangerous for them, if they get hurt, they will have no one to help refugees. And then this is spoken by one of the Red Cross organization itself. And then the fighting has raged in the remote and this sort of rugged region after a series of surprise attacks launched by the Kokang rebels, which was just on the February 9th. So around 30,000 civilians have fled across this border into southwestern China, while tens of thousands more are believed to have been displaced on the Myanmar side of the border.
But unfortunately, from the rebel side, which is the which is the Myanmar National Democratic Alliance Army, seems to be quiet about it, and they actually denied involvement, even though the government is blaming them for all this explosive happening. And from the China sides, unfortunately, China is fearing and feeling alarm as well, because an influx of villages are actually fleeing violence, and some of them go to China.
Yes, so this is something I mentioned as well. So a lot of people, or over 30,000 people, have fled to cross the China border. So this is something that brings an impact on China as well.
Another news on China, not on China, but on Myanmar, that is also significant. Early on, we mentioned about ISIS threat, how parents should monitor their kids' activity online, which is true. But online alone, putting the responsibility towards parents to monitor their kids online alone is not enough. The threat is global, and in fact regionally is very dangerous. So Myanmar and Malaysia is actually trying their best to combat ISIS threat in ASEAN region.
And we just talked about how Malaysian government could be a bit ignorant or not having the proper public announcement or also the information regarding this. But they are currently working with Myanmar to have this agreement on this ISIS threat.
And the interesting part about ISIS militants in Southeast Asia, they are really forming the ideological strength in some of the hotspots area in ASEAN. A lot of the people are really young, and they are really, drawn towards this ideology. It's as if it's part of their religious identity.
And then not only that, it's about their identity itself. It's how scary it is to spread and also be able to train the people around there. So that's why the 10 ASEAN defense ministers will need to discuss on how to meet to also increase the demand of security challenges facing this region itself.
This was headed by Hishamuddin Tun Hussein, Defense Minister for Malaysia, and he said that countries like Malaysia are agreeing to work together with currently with Myanmar to ensure that ASEAN member state could enhance cooperation, particularly under the ASEAN Defense Ministers Meeting platform. And another side on the Myanmar side is Myanmar was encouraged to be active in the expert working group, particularly under the framework of humanitarian assistance and disaster relief and peacekeeping operation. In fact, the Defense Minister Wai Luint expressed Myanmar's fullest support of Malaysia's chairman of the ministerial meeting for defense, ASEAN Defense 2015, and believed that Malaysia will bring ASEAN solidarity to the highest level possible.
So this will have another sort of a relationship agreement between Malaysia and Myanmar to strengthen the relationship. However, it's also too important to highlight about the other nations who are not as aware as Malaysia and Myanmar regarding this ISIS matter, such as Vietnam and Vietnam, Laos, and the other surrounding countries. We all need to come together as the ASEAN as we are heading for one single market. But then this is spreading to Southeast Asia, and then visibly and also invisibly. So this is something that all of us need to come together to discuss.
Actually, the interesting part about Hishamuddin's visit throughout all the ASEAN nations, right now he's visiting Myanmar, but the next one he's going to Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. And what he's proposing is really interesting, which is called ASEAN Peacekeepers. And I think with the concept of ASEAN Peacekeepers, governments can, divert these peacekeeping missions in all over Southeast Asian countries, especially in places that are high in conflict. So in that sense, we definitely look forward to such proposal.
Especially we look forward to hearing more and the good news about this peacekeeping force.
Talking about ASEAN, another topic that we have been discussing almost every day, is the AEC. So finally, Japan is lending support for the AEC. Not that he hasn't lent any support, but seems like it's really seeing the potential of AEC as a single entity, like you mentioned, a single market, and how ASEAN members combined has actually a GDP of 2.4 trillion US dollar in 2013, which is a lot of money if you look at the bigger picture. In fact, it is the world's 7th largest economy, even larger than Russia or India.
And Japan, in fact, they have pretty good relationship with ASEAN itself, and ASEAN has worked to increase the economic activities through a lot of tariff cuts and elimination of this trade. So Japan has definitely shown its interest in ASEAN, especially when it comes to economy. And like you mentioned, a lot of advantages, and then how Japan has moved forward in terms of economy. So all this lower economic growth nations can take the example from Japan and then work together with Japan as well.
A lot of people do not know, but countries like Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand, Indonesia, the Philippines, and Brunei, all of them, or you can call it ASEAN 6, has already abolished, guess what, 99% of goods traded in terms of tariff. So the problem is having all the ASEAN countries to reduce their tariff in terms of 99% of tariff. And also, I think the larger picture is to reduce non-tariff barriers. And non-tariff barriers meaning that we need to improve our democracy and our system of justice, which we will be discussing in our Durian Hit, where we will discuss how Southeast Asia election is one of the worst in the world.
And also at the same time, just to give more information about the relationship between Japan and ASEAN itself, Japan is looking forward to deepen its relations with ASEAN by fully utilizing these advantages that, like you mentioned, Arlene, and also utilize the knowledge it has gained from its own economic growth to offer advice to ASEAN. It's actually a good way to approach Southeast Asia to grow together and to become one identity and to have a one entity, and it tries to narrow the gaps among the members in social and economic development as well.
So that's all from us today. We hope that you enjoy our news commentary, and don't forget to tune in to our online platform, which is durianasian.com, to find more information. And of course, you can always listen to us live via your mobile set at the app called TuneIn, and search for us, Durian ASEAN.
And we do have our social channels, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Please do leave us the feedbacks that what you think about Durian ASEAN, and also a commentary as well as our other segments as well.